Hi guys, welcome back to Handmade with Tara. Tonight I have for you the Oh Holy Night Suite, which features Stars at Night and Night Divine stamps and dies. And I'm going to set these aside here. These can be found in the mini catalog for September to December 2023. And they're on page 14 and 15 of this catalog here. So 14 and 15 shows you all of this suite. It includes everything that you see here, minus these gold trinkets. The adhesive backed star trinkets I did not get. But everything else that you see here, pretty much used all of it. This is the ribbon, the designer series paper, the specialty paper, all the dies, everything else. And these colors: Copper Clay, Misty Moonlight, Boho Blue, Night of Navy, Crumb Cake, and Pebble Path. So this is my advanced tutorial for this month, featuring things from these sets, but also I pull in some dies that were from an online exclusive that's still available. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I am going to show you the cards that I made first, and then we will break them down one by one. And so you can stamp along with me and or cut everything and stamp at another time when you have time. So this is the first one, and I'm actually going to change the people on this one when I make it and recreate it for you to gold so that they're a little bit easier to see. And this one also does have some heat embossing on it, but this is the designer series paper and this beautiful ribbon designer series paper that was featured. And so that's the first card. Then I'm going to jump right into the second card, which this one features the Stars at Night stamp sentiment, and this background stamp is actually from the Oh Holy Night one. But this one also features this distressed tile embossing folder that's new, and some of these beautiful die cut out stars that's from the Stars at Night suite. So we'll go ahead and show you the last one here. Is this one. Let's pull it out. And this one is the last card here. So this one's showing off a couple of the dies from the Oh Holy Nights dies, and then also some of the other colors that are part of this suite, just to show you how that coordinates with the designer series paper and with the sets here. So all right, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the first card. And I am going to give you all of the measurements so you can recreate this at home. This is an advanced tutorial, so more for people who are avid stampers who are going to have all the stuff, all of the colors. I do have a beginner tutorial that is for beginners. The last Friday of every month, I do a beginner paper pumpkin tutorial that is free and available to anybody who's new and wants to start to get into it. If they are liking it or you like this tutorial, obviously, you can check out that one. And it's just a little bit simpler. But this one is for people who have all this stuff and want to use it. So you can take a screenshot of those measurements, but I'm just going to set these aside so that I can break it down. So, and I try to talk about it as I pull them out as well, just so that you know what to expect here. So starting with the base, this is very vanilla. I did very vanilla cardstock 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4, and then I also did a 5 1/4 by 4 insert. So this is actually going to go on the inside, but we're not going to put that inside until we stamp it. So just setting that aside here. And then I did a matte with very vanilla. The matte is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and that's going to lay right on top there, and that's just going to give the card a little bit more sturdiness and integrity here. And then I have some designer series paper cut 4 by 3 1/4. So I am going to start building this card. So pretty much I told you the stamping I'm going to do last, so I'm just going to set the insert aside so that I can start to layer these on here for you. So I'm going to start with the matte. And I'm just using the liquid glue because that's my adhesive of preference. This is just going to get layered right on top of this one. And there should just be a little tiny rim all the way around. And then the glue is kind of forgiving as far as like moving this around and getting that right where you want it to go. Just a tiny little rim all the way around. So that is step one. Step two, we are going to actually use some ribbon. And this piece of ribbon, here, let me tell you exactly, is about 4 inches long. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape the back of this right here. So I'm going to use some, just not grab all my scraps in the way. I'm just going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm just going to put a little thing there, and I'm going to tape that behind like that. So, and then it's going to come down, and it's going to come down like this, but we wanted to do this part first before we tape this piece down. So this is the next piece that's going to get glued down here. And I wanted that piece on there before I glue it down. So I did it backwards on when I made it originally, and it's definitely going to be easier to do it this way so that that piece is already there. But I'm not attaching it or anything yet because we are going to build the rest of the card. So that's there and ready to use when we are ready for it. So then I did, what I did was I took some of this designer series paper. This is the Oh Holy Night 12 by 12 designer series paper. And I actually just grabbed some of this sheet. You can see I've like really used a lot of this already. But I grabbed some of this page right here. And this is the designer series paper for the background is 3.5 by 3.5 is the square that I need for this. And then with this, what I did was I brought in one of the online exclusive dies that I love, that I just can't seem to use enough, from the Irresistible Blooms dies. So the Irresistible Blooms dies, and I'm actually going to use this die right here to make this beautiful circle. So you can also use, if you don't have this one, if you have deckled circles, or if you have the stitched circles or the stitched stylish shapes, or the stitched circles or something like that. Any circle will do, but this is the size that you need. So this one actually really does help because it does make this beautiful circle here. So, and then I just die cut that ahead of time to make it easy. So that's this piece here that's gonna go on here. And then I told you on the first card, so this one, I'm actually going to use this piece too. So I'm going to end up putting this on the inside of here, and I just kind of match it up with the circles here. So I just kind of keep turning it until I find exactly how it fits into, this die, like that. And so that's going to end up going like that. And then I had a piece of gold that was cut 2 by 2, and I did all of the animals with this. So 1, 2, 3. I did all 3 of these with a 2 by 2 piece of gold, and then I had a 2 by 3 piece of gold that I did the people. So the people are going to end up going right like that. And then I'm also going to use and need a piece of 2.5 by 1 1/4, and that's what I use to cut the sentiment. And the sentiment, I use the deckled rectangles. So the deckled rectangle dies, and these look like this. So it's a nesting die, and it looks like this, but pretty much this piece is 2.5 by 1 1/4, and any size that about that size will work for the sentiment piece. So now I'm just going to build this on the card here. So what I did was on this original card, what I did was I put this down first, like this, kind of exactly where I wanted it, and then I set that aside. Then I do where I pull the rest of this down here. So, and this is going to end up going behind here like that. And then this is going to go on top of this. And I actually believe I just use glue to adhere. Come on. There we go. Sometimes the glue can be finicky. So just pull that down like that, and I can attach it now. So I'm just going to use a little piece of that Stampin' Seal Plus, and then I'm going to attach this right over top of it like that. The next thing I'm going to do is, this is the adhesive gold back. So this is actually already on an adhesive here. So I just have to pull this apart and expose the sticker, the adhesive, and then I can just attach it right to my card, which is awesome for these small, intricate dies. It really helps out if it's already glued up, so that you don't have a huge mess of glue to worry about, or to try and get that exactly perfect. So I just kind of centered it on that blue background. So that is step whatever step we're on right now. I don't even know how many steps we've done so far. Okay, so now again, I'm just going to make sure that this is matching up. So as soon as I feel that this is matching up, I got it messed up. I kind of messed up. I just have to keep moving it until it falls into place. And it will fall into place, like, there we go. So now I know exactly where it's going to go. So now I'm just going to put glue on the back of this. So, and I just did a little tiny dot of glue on these little balls, these little circles, all the way around. Like this, 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 this. All right. So, and then I'm just going to match it up. Oops. And I'm going to adhere that down, matched up, and then I'm just going to hold it down for a second. So it's kind of overlapping these people on the end. Like, I wanted it to look like they were inside. And then once that's down, I can put on these. So obviously, if you need to make some die cuts, you can pause the video, make some die cuts so that you have everything ready to go. And if you're not subscribed to me, this would also be a good time to hit that subscribe button so that you are included and in the know with all of the tutorials. So if you are an avid stamper and you enjoy watching tutorials on how to make some unique design cards, like these are all original designs. I did not copy these from anybody. I have seen cards like these, similar as far as like in a circle like this. But I do try to come up with my own designs, and I try to be as authentic as possible when possible. So, and then I went ahead and tied the bow already, but this is the that beautiful navy glitter ribbon that comes with the suite. So, and this is Night of Navy in gold with like gold specks, I'm sorry. And I already tied it because I wanted to make sure I had enough before I tied it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a little bit of Stampin' Seal Plus right here. And then I can add my bow right to the top here. And then I just cut this so it's shorter, like this, and a little bit at an angle as well on both sides, like that. And the last part I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping. So I used the Shepherd stamp because it just fit really nicely. I think that's probably mostly why I used it, but the Lord is my shepherd. So I'm going to stamp that in Versamark, and I'm going to put that on this deckled rectangle that I already cut. So again, I am just using a little bit of this. We're going to grab the Versamark, stamp this. Sometimes I'm not as prepared and I don't have all my die cuts and everything die cut, but this time I was able to get it all die cut because I already felt like it was going to be a bit of a longer tutorial to show you 3 different designs. So try to cut out some of that time where I am making die cuts and embossing as well. So just trying to make it so it's not super boring to watch. But if you're stamping along with me, then usually it's not boring for you, right? So now I'm going to bring in this, and I'm going to use my gold embossing powder, and I will hold this, and then I'm gonna put that over top here. And then see there's a little bit of glitter just on there. I'm just going to use just a paintbrush to brush that away so that it doesn't get embossed on the sentiment here. So, and then I can put this back in the thing, but I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my embossing machine. Let it get warm. And then I'm going to go over top of it. Oh, it's already nice and warm. Oh, hold still. Hold still. Reverse tweezers. Sorry, it's a little warm. It's burning my fingers. And you can see that. Easy enough. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals, and I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. Boop, boop. And I'm going to make sure I put this on right about there. Boom. Beautiful. This I'm going to clean off with my Simply Chamois. So I like to bring that in and clean that off and keep my stamps looking nice. And then on the inside of the card, so remember we had that insert, I'm going to go ahead and pull this down here, and I'm going to stamp that one. And I believe I used Night of Navy. So let me grab it. My Night of Navy. And I'm going to, I actually have another piece that is a part of this that I used for, so this piece here is a 4 by 3 1/4. So 4 inches by 3 1/4, 3 by 3/4 inch. Okay, so not even a whole inch, 3/4 of an inch. And then I put this at the bottom. Okay, so again, this is insert is 4 by 5 1/4. So, and I put that right at the bottom, and then I just got the Glory to God. I put it on I think this is a C block. And I just look at it, make sure it's even, and then I use this to so now I'm going to put it in the center of the card here. That's why I put this on first, so that this could be centered where I wanted it to be. All right, so clean that off with my chamois, set that aside, close this up, because we're gonna clean as we go, so we don't make a huge mess. I'm gonna go ahead and put my embossing powder back in here. And before I forget, and then I just like to use the top to push that powder right back in there. So this is not my favorite tool, as far as I've seen other ways that people have done this that are easier, simpler, but I got it to try it. I'm glad I got it. It definitely, I mean, it's made just for this, so it helps keep all my stuff organized. But there's an easier way. All right, so now my insert's ready to go inside of my card, and I do love the way that that gold is looking. I love that adhesive glitter gold. It's beautiful. It's definitely fitting. It's Christmas. You know, you can't really go over the top here. You can't really go over the top with Christmas, but there is my insert and the front, and this card is done. So beautiful. All right, moving on to card number 2. So here we go. Let me put that aside. And we're gonna jump right into this card. So this is what it looks like again. And we're gonna set that aside. I'm gonna grab out all of the pieces. Again, I was very proactive and tried to get all my die cutting done for this because there was quite a bit. And here are the measurements if you would like to take a screenshot of that. And I will go over them as I pull them as well. So I did a Misty Moonlight base. Again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I do try to stick to like basic measurements just to make it easy for the repetitions of it, but I feel like I do a good job mixing it up. I don't always want a fun fold or something like crazy, but I am trying. This is very vanilla insert here. So this is again 5 1/4 by 4, and that's going to go on the inside of the card here. I did a mat that's also Misty Moonlight, and the mat is 5 1/4 by 4. So a lot of those same measurements, they make beautiful cards. You can make a million beautiful cards using that. This is a very vanilla piece that is 2 1/4 by 4, and I'm going to emboss this using the Distressed Textured Tile. So the Distressed Tile embossing, it looks like this, Distressed Tile 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss that really fast. And if you're stamping along with me, great. If you are not and you're saving this for later, you can just fast forward through this part. It's definitely hard to show. My embossing machine is very heavy and like clunky in the nicest way. I love my embossing machine. All right, so we ran it through this embossing folder, and now it has that beautiful texture to it. So you can see that. How beautiful. So, and one side will be indented, the other side it'll feel, so that is the side that I use for the top. And then a couple of pieces of the designer series paper, and this is from the Shining Brightly designer series paper. So that's this one, and some of the other designs are in here, but I mean, you can also see I've used a ton of it already. I'm going to set this aside here. And these little pieces are 1/2 an inch by 4. So I cut 1 full inch and then I cut it right in half just to make it easier. And then let's go ahead and start building this card. So I am going to need another piece that I don't see in front of me. Another piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to emboss this piece as well. And this is just a scrap of Very Vanilla. Ready, and then I'm going to use the Stars at Night dies. And I'm going to grab this one right here so that I can have a sentiment tag. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss this as well. Alrighty, so now I have my beautiful sentiment tag here, and I can put that aside if I need it for something else. So, and then obviously I did use all of these stars, all of these little stars and these insert stars to cut on that gold again. All of these beautiful little stars for the card. And then I also used this beautiful ribbon again. So this mat is where I'm going to start. And what I did actually, before you do any of this, we're going to go ahead and start stamping. And what I did was I just put down a piece of scrap here, and then I used Misty Moonlight ink. Alrighty, and I'm going to stamp this huge big stamp. He shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And I'm going to ink that up. Check it out. Looks good. And then I'm just going to put this on here. And I just kind of did one of these. Like that, just to give it that beautiful background. Close this. Clean this off. All right, until it looks nice and clean. Then I can move this out of my way so I have a better vantage point here. I'm going to use my adhesive here, my green glue. So that's going to go right over top. And I did try to line it up so that there were 3 lines at the bottom and 3 lines at the top. So like that. Then I did these little strips, and I did one at the bottom right here, and line that up best you can. And the glue is super forgiving. You can kind of move it around even after you lay it down until you're happy. And the same with this one. And I just kind of laid it down right on top of that as well. So we get a little bit of that beautiful designer paper, just like so. And then I went ahead and I put these stars. And awesome, again, this adhesive back gold. I'm gonna just kind of move it around until I'm happy with where it is. And so easy because it has that adhesive already on it. Just makes it so nice and simple to use. It is quite pricey though. For 2 pieces, I believe it's only 2 or 4, but it's like $5. So a little pricey, but totally beautiful. Makes beautiful cards. So I'm actually seeing that my stars are not exactly how they were on my original, but that's okay. It's a handmade card, so I think that no matter what, it's gonna turn out and be beautiful. So just like that. I actually saved one of the stars for the inside of the card. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp this, and I use this wishing you the best and brightest holiday season. And I did use the Misty Moonlight again. This one's a very Misty Moonlight card with all of the Misty Moonlight paper and ink. And I'm just gonna square that up on there as best that I can, push that down, give it a firm push all the way across. I'm gonna close this out of the way, and that made a beautiful print. Cleaning it off on my chamois, and I can put that aside now. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add this ribbon to the back of this. So I use the tape, the Stampin' Seal Plus, to make a couple of lines across the back. And then what I do to find the middle is I fold it in half like that, and then I attach the bottom here to the card so that it should be even when I start to zigzag this back and forth. It should be right in the middle of the card. Right in the middle. And then I kind of turn it around to see what it's going to look like on the front of the card. You can actually cut these shorter. So once you attach it, you can cut those shorter, and then I use dimensionals to pop it up. So I use some just regular dimensionals on either side here. And then I am going to cut it before I attach it as well. So I'm just kind of making it even but smaller so that it doesn't block those beautiful stars that we added, or too much of the words. We just added some fun. And then this, I just put it right in the middle. So just like that. So that's that part. The next part, I'm actually going to stamp the insert here. So that's the next part that I'm going to do. And I believe I used Oh Holy Night. And you can use Misty Moonlight. You can use another blue if you like, but I'm just going to use this since I have it out. And stamp that insert just like that. Clean this off. Then going to go ahead and add this to the inside of my card. Use a little, like a very thin line of glue all the way around. And then add here. And then you can kind of move it around until it's where you want it. I kind of like the idea that a handmade card is not perfect. And then I'm just going to add a little star right here, some glitter on the inside. And then this part, I actually did pop this up on dimensionals as well. So I'm going to do the same. And then when you're running out of dimensionals, you can still use this part. So I learned this from watching another tutorial, and I was like, I have been wasting dimensionals all of my life. And then I saw that and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm ridiculous. Of course you can use the edge. Okay, so making sure that my sentiment is facing the right way and that my card is opening the right way, I'm just going to adhere this to the front. So it's popped up, raised up, lots of different stuff going on. I told you, like, Christmas cards cannot be over the top. I love this card. It's so pretty. Got all kinds of different fun techniques, embossing, and all kinds of fun stuff. So that is card number 2, and that is done. So now we are on to the third and final card for tonight. Let me keep this with my other stuff. All right, so again, this card is this one, and I'm just gonna set that aside. Here are the measurements for this card. So, and I told you, like, as I pull stuff out, I'm going to tell you what it is so that you don't have to guess. But I did use these dies. What I did was I used the camel and the sheep, and then I also used this person right here with the walking stick. So I actually used this whole die, put it in on a scrap piece of paper to get that die cut. And then here we go. So I used some of the other colors in this suite, which included the copper clay. So that is my base. This is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. So I actually didn't write that on here. I just noticed that. But the same base card for every single design tonight. So, and then I did an insert on this one. This is 5.25 by 4. And all of my paper that I used with this suite, I did not use hardly any basic white. This is all very vanilla because it matches and goes with the suite. And this insert I actually did not stamp, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere that just to get that part out of the way. So right in the copper clay. Then I use some crumb cake. So this is crumb cake, and this is 5.25 by 4.25. So again, all of the measurements on all of the cards today are very similar and very basic backgrounds, but I wanted you to also be able to make some beautiful new designs, and you definitely have to slow down and pay more attention when it's those fun folds. So I definitely wanted for you to be able to jump right in to putting everything together with the measurements. So then what I did was I had I cut all the pieces, but I'm actually going to stamp this, and I should have stamped it before before I attached it. So, and I did use the copper clay. So copper clay is the background color, but I used this color for the stamp. And what I did, the Lord is my shepherd. Of course, I'm using this one again because it just makes so much sense with the card that I'm making. Okay. So luckily I didn't mess that up, but I definitely could have messed that up. And that's why you stamp before you attach. And I know this rule, and I still skipped it. So that is on me. So that is step number 1. You're going to stamp that first, then adhere this crumb cake mat to the copper clay card base. Okay, so then I use some of the copper, and I made 3 panels. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3 of copper clay, and these are the 3 1/8 by 1 6/8. So, and I lay them out on the card first so that I have an idea of where they're going to end up before I attach them. And then I attach them one by one. And I try to make them even and give a little bit of room around the edges so that you can see that crumb cake. And then I'm going to push that down. And then again, I actually am going to do this one first on this side so that I can kind of set it up like the other one with that tiny little bit of rim around both sides. And then I will attach the middle piece here. All right. And should have the same about the same amount on both sides. And I'm just eyeballing this. So it is not perfect by any means, but I'm eyeballing and I'm wiggling too much because the glue is still wet. All right, so now I have my background panels. And then what I did was I cut designer series paper in one piece of paper. And then I cut those into strips, 3 by 1 1/2 each of the designer series paper. So now I'm going to attach it one by one. And some of the paper looks more like sand dunes, and then some of it just looks like it could be any kind of desert or like dirty looking paper. But I tried to keep it so that the pattern from the paper is in the same pattern on the panels all the way across. And this is from the Oh Holy Night Suite paper. Excuse me. And I love this sandy paper. It's really fun and unique. Never seen anything like it. So now I'm going to add in some ribbon. And when I made this the first time, I did the panel and then I didn't attach it to the base right away. Again, I told you, you're supposed to stamp it first, then you're supposed to add the panels, and then you can add the ribbon on top here. Since I didn't do it ahead of time, I'm going to show you how I can fix this after the fact, okay? So this is my ribbon here. It's about 7 inches. So it's about 7 inches. So I do have quite a bit of work room on the ends of it because I'm going to end up tucking it behind. And it's going to end up going right about there. Actually, I'm going to move it to, yeah, right about there. Okay, so that's where it's going to end up going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to push it behind this panel here. So, and you can cut some of this excess off here. And then I'm just going to push it until it's all the way hidden behind here. Like that. So, and the glue is catching it on the inside. So I can feel the glue is going to hold it into place on that side at least. And then let's see if we can get it to push in on this side. And again, I am doing this behind the matte piece, and I would have done this at the beginning if I would slow down and not get ahead of myself. And I'm going to cut some of this off. I'm actually going to cut a little bit more like that. And so slow down and attach your mat and panels to your mat, and then you're going to tape this behind there, but that worked too. So that actually worked fine. And I feel like the glue has got that and it feels pretty sturdy, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so Now that that is attached how it's supposed to be, inserts attached how it's supposed to be, let's slow down. Now I'm going to add my camel. So if you need to die cut, pause your video, go die cut a camel, the little guy with the walking stick. And I used a little bit of this paper to do my camel, because the sandy paper. And then I did very vanilla scrap piece for my walking guy with the walking stick. And then I did a little scrap of white for my clouds and for my sheep. So I did the clouds and my sheep. And that's just like scrap paper that I used to make those die cuts. So go ahead and make those die cuts. So very vanilla, a basic white, and then that sandy paper is what I used to make these die cuts here. And then I put them all on mini dimensionals. So if you have a pack of mini dimensionals, these work best to pop them up because they're nice and small. You can hide them easily behind these people, behind these animals. Like so. Like that. I don't have to cut it or anything, and it's hidden. So that's pretty awesome. I'm actually going to add one more to my camel, I think, here. Camel and my little lamb and my clouds lastly. And I love these clouds. They're really fun, and I like the little swirlies in them. I thought these were super cute. Okay, so what I did was I added the man first into the first panel, kind of towards the back of it. Then I added the camel to the second panel. So it looks like he is leading them, walking with them. Camel, I kind of put him close so he looked like he was. And then the little lamb is following behind on the third panel, just like so. Then I added the clouds right here on the top of this first panel. I actually did the big cloud and then the little cloud. Just like that. Okay, so that's that. Then I used a little piece of gold ribbon to make a bow. So I will do my best to make a little bow here. It's gonna be tiny. Here, actually, let's see. Here, I'll just use this. This is my ribbon, my whole roll of ribbon. All right, we're almost done, guys. Stick it out. We're almost there. We're just gonna add a little bow and then we'll be done. And I just want a tiny little bow. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Like that. And then I'm just pulling it tight, and then I just kind of keep working it until that knot is nice and tight. Just like so. And then I can cut that, use that for something else. And then I actually just used a glue dot to attach this right here at the front of the card. So let me grab my glue dots that I hid from myself. So, okay, so I'm just going to put this on the back right here. And add this to the front. Like so. Oh my God, I just love this card. I don't know why, I just love it. It's not super Christmassy either, but it is. It's not, but it's not what it is. I was trying to use more like daytime colors and make it more about a journey. I don't know. I don't know what I was channeling on this one, but I love this. design. I'm very proud of myself, guys. It's so simple. I bought this whole set because of this camel, and I love him still. He's so cute. All right, so all done with my 3 designs. If you were stamping along with me, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate you checking it out. I am going to put back in front of you the designs. Look at these gorgeous cards. Anybody would be happy to receive these beautiful cards from you this Christmas, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials from me. I am a busy mom of 3 boys, so I can only do 1 tutorial a month, and I try to show what I can do with one set, something new, something that's just come out, or something that my team has picked and chose. If you do love to stamp and you don't have a demonstrator yet, please contact me. I would love to be your demonstrator. And I hope you guys all have a great night, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.